What's up guys, it's Gesture. Today, I want to talk about the Halo Infinite Sandbox and why I think it needs a lot more added into it. I don't know about you guys, but even though the overall sandbox is pretty large on paper, for some reason, it still feels really empty and lackluster a lot of times. I think this partially has to do with a lot of the weapons feeling like they're so weak that they just aren't a viable option to actually use if you want to win a gunfight, as well as the vehicles feeling so squishy and awkward to handle. So it makes the sandbox kind of feel more bare bones since some of the stuff just feels useless and you aren't ever going to use it. This picture on screen now shows all of the usable weapons, including turrets and grenades inside of each Halo. Halo Infinite has the third most usable weapons at launch out of every Halo title in the franchise, with 32 total weapons, turrets, and grenades. The second most was Halo 4 coming in at 33 and Halo 5 coming in at 37. Now keep in mind, this is only the launch sandbox, and I'm sure we'll get a lot more added into the game, especially when you consider that this is the next Halo title for the next 10 years. And you can see this with Halo 5 having 50 inside the sandbox by the end of its life cycle. Something else kind of interesting to note here, and what I feel like plays a really big part in making the sandbox feel kind of lackluster, is that Halo Infinite has the smallest UNSC arsenal out of any Halo, but it has the largest Covenant arsenal out of every Halo. I personally feel like the UNSC arsenal was trimmed down way too much. Like, what happened to the SAW, the SMG, the railgun, and the Spartan laser, for crying out loud, a staple to pretty much every Halo game since Halo 2? Instead of those, we got a bunch of other Covenant-based weapons, which in my opinion, just aren't as versatile as UNSC weapons. Weapons like the Ravager, the Disruptor, the Pulse Carbine. I just feel like some of these weapons are useless and a waste of space in the sandbox. I would have so taken something like the SMG or even the classic Covenant Carbine over something useless like the Pulse Carbine. Not to mention, it feels like there's hardly any actual power weapons in the current sandbox, especially when it comes to competitive play. When you're talking about competitive play, the only power weapons that are in there is the sniper rifle and the rocket launcher. I don't know about you guys, but I would have loved to have seen weapons like the SAW or the railgun in the game to add just a little more versatility when it comes to power weapons and make the game feel a little more unique. But instead, we're stuck with literally only 2 power weapons inside competitive play. It just feels so boring and lazy. Like, there's so much good stuff that was trimmed out, and the little bit of stuff that we got to replace it just isn't cutting it, in my opinion. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm sure over the course of the next couple years, we'll get a lot of new stuff added in. And maybe we'll even see some weapons from previous games, like I mentioned before, the SAW, the Spartan laser, the SMG, and more added back into the game soon. But lately with Halo Infinite, it feels like the only thing we keep saying is we'll get this soon, we'll get that soon, that'll be added in eventually. Like, bro, why couldn't we have got all this stuff at launch? With as much as 343 claims to have playtested the game in the sandbox, did they really not feel that themselves like something was just off with it? And who knows, maybe they did, and maybe by the time they realized it was just too late to get it added in before release. There's no way for us to really know, unfortunately, but all I can say is I really hope that we see some more versatile additions very soon. That about wraps things up for this one, guys. Feel free to drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on the current Halo Infinite Sandbox. And if you want to continue the discussion even further, check out my Discord down in the description. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to subscribe for more Halo Infinite discussions like this, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.